Cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NFL The Betting Blitz. It is Sunday, week 18, 2026, January the 4th. When I was writing this morning, I was saying to myself, we are in a new year, the first Sunday of the entire year. We're at the back end of the NFL season. We got a great card on our hands today. Mike and I were talking before the show. It's freezing cold in New York. It's nice in Florida. We're going to have a hell of a conversation. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Week 18, lots of landmines, things we're going to help you guys navigate. We're still going to look at some of these trends, cash flow, the analytics that go behind it. Just because teams need it doesn't mean they get it. And don't be so quick to think these divisional rematches are unders.
Without question, we saw you guys in the chat. Our guy says, I'm sensing a lot of understanding the NFL. Mike's looking at the chat. He is on this morning. You guys are in the chat. I see you guys on the East Coast. I say it every week. West Coast, 8 a.m. Get your coffee, hang out with us. Shout out to Hawaii. Hanging out at 6 in the morning with the Shark and Mikey Money. It's going to be a great card today. Sundays are for the Sharps. Let's get into the card. First game on the card, we are going to Texas. We're going to Houston Energy Stadium. Colts, Texans, matchup 2. And that is obviously a very identifiable point on today's show. Every game in division, data abundant. Matchup 2, rivalries, revenge, all sorts of stuff. This game, I believe, is going to lean towards the home team. You're getting the Texans trying to win the division, probably not going to. We think Jacksonville probably does win outright against the Titans at home in North Florida today. But you're getting a chance to fade the Colts with Riley Leonard on the road. This is not Phillip Rivers. It's certainly not Daniel Jones. It's not Anthony Richardson, Andrew Luck, certainly not Peyton Manning. It's Notre Dame year 1 coming to the league. Mike, we've been talking about it all year, and here we are in week 18. Rookie quarterbacks on the road do not succeed, particularly against elite level DeMeco Ryans defense. Mike, I think we're seeing a blowout here. Talk to me.
I think you're right. I mean, look, what can you like about this Colts team? Talk about waving the red flag and starting with a barn burner here for the Sunday card. But same side of things with the Texans, a team that's in the playoffs doesn't really have much to gain one way versus the other. So now you have to question to yourself, all right, are they going to go out there and try to stand up and play that stout defense that we've seen from the Texans all season? Or do we lean to the other side of things here? It's a low total, obviously sitting at 37.5. And I think for that reason, I'm a little apprehensive about getting involved really on the side of this game because I don't know that we see Houston go out there. CJ Stroud's kind of shown that he can struggle as well. But how about this? And I know it's a little different because this Colts have had multiple iterations of quarterbacks, but big dog, under 30 points or less the previous game, 13-0 to the over. These guys find themselves putting points on the board, and that kind of falls into the narrative I was thinking about in that, yes, it's a divisional game. No, they've got nothing to play for. Yeah, it's hard to cap this quarterback on the Colts side of things here, but I'm going to look at points in this game here. It should be beautiful situation conditions-wise, no elements, no weather, none of this or that or the other thing. And the expectation now with this game having come all the way down, it doesn't take many to get over this total here. And with the 13-0 streak, I'll take the over 37.5. I'll live dangerous to kick the card off.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. As I said, the first Sunday of the year, we're living dangerously. We're going into certain games here, this being one of them, obviously, where one team has absolutely nothing to play for. But I do think it leans heavily towards the favorite in this matchup, particularly because of the defense. As I said, this is a top defense in the league, and it's a divisional game. They're not going to take their foot off the gas. I could see this going over. Actually, the game that was played in Week 13 in Indianapolis, 20-16 Texans, Houston did have almost 400 yards of offense versus this Indianapolis defense. So a bit of a sieve there. And truthfully, as we get through this hour-long broadcast, we're really going to detail which teams have absolutely nothing to play for. The Colts fit that model. They're currently 8-8. They've lost, I believe, 5 or 6 in a row. They looked like they were going to be potentially the 1 seed in this conference in Week 9. Talk about a precipitous cliff dive in the late season window. Obviously, without Jones, no Rivers, now Leonard. But this is not where teams find morale on the road to close the season. This team is a complete falling knife. I will go no further on this. Take the Texans and let's cash. We see you guys in the chat. Obviously, drop your plays in the chat. We will converse with you guys as we get through this hour. And let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, also AFC South, Titans-Jags, matchup 2. as is every game this week. Jags did take care of the Titans on the road. Low-scoring game, 25-3. Now come home, slightly higher-scoring game, I believe. Jags are obviously hot, just like the Texans. Dub 6, looking like they're going to win the division today. I see people in North Florida cracking bottles right now, pre-game celebration, thinking it's a formality. I'm not sure if they cover the spread, Mike. I think this is a big dog spot. I think Cam Ward will be competitive. Seeing some good quotes from defensive players from the Titans, obviously getting their ass kicked at home. One of the things we want to talk about as well today is which teams are going to compete to put film on record for their careers, their career resume. And I think the Titans, a young team, been scrappy on the road, could absolutely cover this due to the fact they're trying to compete for film on record. Mike, any thoughts on this game?
Boy, oh man, it's funny how a team can have a potentially elite quarterback in the development with Cam Ward in the offense, but then you look at the defense and it's like that's their biggest weakness is that passing defense out there. And that's where Trevor Lawrence and company can excel. Put that ball in the air, get it deep to some of their guys. Jacoby Myers is a big mid-season pickup there, trade deadline pickup from the Raiders, and he's been finding a way to be productive as well. But to your point, yeah, how do you get involved with this Tennessee side of things? They want to put tape together. They want to look good on film, and the Jaguars probably just want to tinker with a few things to get ready for the postseason. So rather than opting for a side or a total, I went to player props out there. I like Parker Washington, 100 yards in his last 2 games in a row for a touchdown, and he's getting plenty of targets out there. So you can get this guy around plus 225 to score a touchdown, Parker Washington. The other side that I went to is a player prop. Got to look at these guys with their incentives on the line, and Tony Pollard is that guy. He needs 83 yards for an extra $250,000. He's 2 rushing touchdowns away from another 200,000. So this kind of falls in line with my expectation that we see points in this game. The spot that I looked at, though, is give him usage, give him time. Ultimately, you want to try to keep the Jacksonville team off the field to prevent from getting blown out at the end of the season here. So where does that take me? It takes me to Tony Pollard over 14.5 carries. So far he's at 18, 21, and 25 in 3 of the last 4 weeks on top of that. So he averaged 6 yards a carry when he played this team prior to. So I expect a big game out of Pollard. Fits in line with Tennessee trying to fight for this game, to your point, getting good tape out there and trying to finish the season on a positive note, change the culture. I think this is a good opportunity. So Parker Washington touchdown, Tony Pollard over 14.5 carries. There's two player props to kick this card off as well, Shark.
Yeah, Mike's been up all night, he told me. And what'd you find that one at 4:48 in the morning when you were hanging off the couch? I think that was that's the Ringer special here on a suddenly not so casual Sunday. But no, going on that, I think the game is graded to an over, and the market agrees. This opened at 43.5 points. This has gotten steamed up to 46.5. Ultimately, when you see that type of steam, sometimes it becomes sharp at the final market when we kick off. But I do think you're going to see more points. 25-3, 28, real outlierish type of game. I don't think Jacksonville is going to be competing to the point that people think they're going to maybe show up today. I think this game, to a certain degree, is kind of what I said. I think people are cracking champagne in the parking lot right now. Like, this is a formality. This team is terrible coming into our stadium. We already beat them by 22 on the road. We're favored by 2 touchdowns. And we're going to get into a lot of the chalk and the heavy favorites being great sides on this card. I just don't think this is one of them. I think Tennessee will keep this game tight enough. Final point on this, the defensive end for the Titans, good quote, Jeffrey Simmons. He says, they're going to try to embarrass us at home to win the division. We have to come out there ready to fight. And going back about what I said with guys not going to the playoffs, trying to put good film on record, he said, your film is your resume. And that's what the Titans are talking about. They're not talking about Cancun tomorrow. They're talking about playing a divisional football game competitively in Jacksonville. I see a high-scoring game, like Mike said, and I see a tight one. Don't love it officially, but guys, be careful of Jacksonville to cover. I do think they win the game and win the division. That's it for the AFC South, Mike. Not exactly my favorite division. And we move on. Next game on the card, Browns-Bengals in Cincinnati. What's going on in Cincinnati today? I'm not entirely sure. We don't really have any colleagues in Cincinnati. I know some people in Cleveland. I got to, in the offseason, maybe we'll go up to Cincinnati and we'll be like, who wants to hang out with Mike and the Shark? We're here hanging out on Sunday morning. But truthfully, this game for me is going to be a tough one. I think this line is pretty sharp. I think 7.5 is right around the final point. I think it's going to be 6, 7, or 8 points. I think you're going to see points scored in the game ultimately. Obviously, Burrow here just chucking the ball around the yard. Shedeur Sanders and the Browns playing a very loose style of football. Lots of special teams errors, lots of turnovers. Over in this game would be somewhat of a look. Don't love the game, but Mike, any thoughts?
Man, Cincy divisional situation. I'm speechless when I think about this game because there's a lot of things that make zero sense to me. If you're Cleveland, why did you wait so long to put Shedeur Sanders in? If you're Cincinnati, why did you rush Joey Burrow back into this thing? And I think that's where the mismatch comes into play, that you've got the experience and a guy that's, I won't say motivated, but wants to come back out there, lead by example, and show the team that, yeah, again, another team trying to create buzz as they get into this offseason out there. Burrow's 3-1 against the spread in first halves when they're home against the Browns. And that's the angle I want to take in this one. The reason being, I don't know what happens long-term in this game. I know situations where a team that is avenging a week 1 loss, the Browns, are 51-16, but enter quarterback changes, line discrepancy. I mean, the both teams have turned over twice, essentially. Then on the other side of things, you've got Cincinnati when they're playing a team that won by 6 or more points. They're 24-5. They come to play in those spots out there. So give me this motivated Joey Burrow, at least to start this game off. And at the end of the day, Burrow's beaten Cleveland 3 straight times, probably continues to put that belt to ass, but I'll isolate this game strictly to the first half. And I've got a couple plays that kind of fall into alignment like that here. I also have a really strong lean on the Cincinnati Bengals team total over at 27.5 Shark, but I'll lay the 5.5 points right now. A lot of books have 5.5. A couple of the more publics there have the 6.5s, but I like the 5.5 points. Either way, I think they cover this first half by a touchdown and we get this cash. So give me Cincinnati first half.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of market steam here on the Bengals. Actually, when I was looking at this yesterday, the line was sitting around 7.5. We're actually seeing 9s pop up and 10s. Bet365 has -10. So it's a lot of chalk and a lot of steam there. As I said, I don't have any people in Cincinnati. I need to get on the phone right now and be like, guys, what's going on in Cincinnati? You guys hanging out? What's the weather like? I'm not entirely sure. Our guy in the chat making a really nice comment here. Garrett to get sack record. I do think Garrett will be targeting this. Obviously, the guy's an elite pass rusher. He has owned Burrow in his career. And if you go back to week 1, obviously 17-16, real low-scoring game. It was really the defensive show from Cleveland. So I think that really has a lot of access. Look at Garrett, at least to get 1 sack, I think would be the best look for me. As I just typed in the chat, best games are coming. Obviously, 14 games here in divisional games. Not much on this one, and keeping it moving. Giants-Cowboys Part 2 in East Rutherford at 1 o'clock. I see you guys in Jersey. I see you guys in New York. I don't see a great football game here. This is yet another game that doesn't have a ton of importance to either side. Dak Prescott will start. Jackson Dart will start. Mike Kafka, interim coach, getting fired right after this game. Ultimately, this is going to be a really difficult game. Mike, let's not waste too much time on this particular game unless you have something. This, for me, is a really difficult one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was kind of leaning to the point side of things here again in this game, but I'm looking at the Giants. They're 11-0 when they're in the dog spot of less than a 6-pack. And more than 5 days of rest. So they've won some of these games. They could certainly come out there and be competitive. Now, this is one of those spots, though, where it's tricky. And I say, don't just automatically assume this is an under because these two teams are division rivals and so on. But, boy, the Giants, how do they produce? The Cowboys, I got nothing for this game. This is an ugly game. I hate both these teams.
Yeah, and ultimately, you're seeing a totally different environment from when these teams played earlier this year at Jerry World. If you guys remember, that was a 40-37 Cowboys overtime win. Russell Wilson was the quarterback, and the game was absolutely insane. There were 41 points in the fourth quarter. This line is high, open at 51.5, suggesting more of that. It's getting steamed down, and that, for me, is confusing. Because when you see Dallas and the line is getting steamed down against a really kind of a loose playing Jackson Dart and the Giants, something's going on here. Like last night, we saw this in the Niners game. The Niners and the Seahawks had both been scoring the ball at like literally an alarming rate. The total was really high in the market, 49.5, actually got steamed down to 47.5. And we saw 13-3 final, like out of nowhere. So I think something's going on here. I was actually saying to one of my guys off the record before the show, I want to get into this research a little bit more to see like why these lines move and why the line move is actually like very, very sharp, where it's like nobody has any good idea why, but somebody clearly does. Like, who knew 13-3 was coming last night with San Francisco? Like, is this game going to just somehow be a total dud? Like 20-17? Like, is Dak going to get benched in the second half? Is Jackson Dart going to get like preemptively hurt? Like crazy, weird, sort of off the record stuff that's not being documented. Just small conversation on that. Really funky line move down here. I think you might see an under in this game just for some weird reason, like Dak getting benched or something like that. I don't know. Tough game. Let's get into the good stuff, guys. Next game on the card, Saints-Falcons in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 1 o'clock. This game is very interesting. This game doesn't have any consequence for either team going to the playoffs, but this game does determine who wins the NFC South. If the Falcons win this game, Carolina wins the division. If New Orleans wins this game, Tampa Bay wins the division. I was saying to Mike before the show, this kind of reminds me of high school where the seniors have control over the locker room and they can determine the fate of the sophomores. And they look around and say, so who do we like more? Who does Kirk Cousins like more? I think he hates Baker. I think we've talked about this. The duels between Cousins and Baker. I think there's some incentive here for Atlanta looking around saying, fuck the Bucs, man. Let's get this dub and put the Panthers into the playoffs. I see a lot of people on the Saints. Mike, as I've said week after week, absolutely loves Tyler's show. He didn't even know that until about week 9. He didn't even know who he was until week 9, and now he's the best man at his wedding. But that all being said, like, I do think the Falcons win this game. What do you think?
Yeah, they can win, and that's fine, but I don't think they cover. Show's shown us the dough, man. It's plus 5.5s have moved to 4s, then 3.5s out there in the market. And it makes sense. You've got 52% of the bets and 57% of the cash coming in on these guys. A low total in this divisional game, certainly eye-popping, but no movement is the most eye-popping thing about it. 43.5, 65% of the bets, 58% of the cash coming in, and it's not moving here. I'll tell you this, dogs against mid teams late in the season perform. There's an overestimation of that mid team out there. They're 8-2. You've won 6 straight in those spots out there. New Orleans as a road dog against the NFC South have won 9 straight times. I don't think they have to go out there and get it done. I do like this though. Late season divisional rematch. The home team as the favorite is a perfect 8-0, are a perfect 8-0, but I think low total, low scoring. We don't have to do too much to stay within this plus 4 points out there. So I'm going to take the Saints again. And I'm going to go with the plus 4. Maybe the Falcons win outright. I'd rather, maybe it's partly Shark, just to expand on it a little bit. Maybe I don't want to see Baker Mayfield in the playoffs, man. He's a tricky little out. And I know the Eagles are 1-1 against this guy in the last 2 seasons, but I just know when you put him in the postseason with a healthy Tampa Bay team, they could be dangerous and peaking at the right time. So that does kind of give me a little pause when it comes to thinking ahead beyond this week.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't have a side on the game. I think that Tyler Show could absolutely continue to cover. And one of the things we talked about with Tyler Show when he made his first career start, he's an older rookie. He's like 25. So he is not your typical rookie, and that's why he's playing good ball. And the Saints come into this game hot. They're very competitive. This is clearly not a look ahead to anything. They want to finish this season strong, go into the offseason, have a good draft, OTAs, minicamp, and go into training camp with morale and momentum. So I don't disagree that the Saints could cover, certainly, but maybe even win this game. I'm not officially on the Falcons. What I am officially on, this is my first play of the broadcast, take the over. And Mike, you're talking about the under, but I want to give some credential to the over here. I think we're seeing a significant uptick in what's going on offensively between these teams. These teams did play a very low-scoring game prior, 24-10. This line is higher. So when I saw that, I saw a previous under and I saw a higher line. I said, what's going on? Cousins' last 3 starts, he has found himself in his yesteryear capacity when he played for the Vikings under Kevin O'Connell. The Falcons are scoring right now. 29 points, 26 points, 27 points last 3 games. Same thing with the Saints. Show wasn't scoring, albeit he was covering in the first few games. The last 2 games, 24 points, road divisional game at Tampa, who has a solid defense and has been playing some scrappy unders like you saw yesterday. And then last week, 34 points, including a massive second half at Tennessee. This is an uptick game. You're going to see a lot more points. And I think final point on this, outside of the fact that whoever wins this does determine the division winner who are on their couches watching this game, this is going to be a competitive, high-scoring game because both teams kind of know that they control something in the playoffs. And that, for me, does not speak to defense and a log jam. It speaks to a high pace and kind of a crazy back-and-forth game. Top look in this game for me, take the over at -4 at 43. -43, I don't know what I'm talking about. College basketball in January, whatever. Next game on the card, Packers-Vikings in Minnesota. This is a game, we haven't touched on any teams yet that really do not care to play today. This is the first one. When you look at this game and you see Minnesota -10, you should say, what the hell is going on here? Well, Green Bay is locked into the 7 seed. They can't improve. They can do nothing in this game other than get injured. They're not even starting the backup, Malik Willis. They're starting Clayton Tune. This is going to be a Vikings blowout. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't want any part of this Packers team. And it's not just because I like to bust my guy Razor's chops, but it's more of a situation where it's like looking at the squad and seeing the level and the decimation, the key personnel that have been beaten up and busted out of this thing. I go into their conditioning process and who's part of that strengthening and conditioning. Are they looking at analytics around player safety and capability out there? This team, I think, is a free out to anybody when it comes postseason. I did find a stat that I wanted to kind of talk to because it does speak to this game. When I talked to you guys about these divisional games and I said, don't be so quick to think that we've got a ton of unders. Look at Sharks giving out the over in the Saints game. I've given out the over in the Colts game. 35-17. Week 18 games when the total is less than a 42.5 situation in the division, right? So this is kind of that counter narrative. They want you to think divisional under games, and 35-17 to the over in these low totals, divisional games, week 18 spots. That is this case for Green Bay and Minnesota. I think Minnesota does put boot to the ass on these boys here. Again, a Green Bay spot, not for me. I'd have to take Minnesota or nothing in this game. And frankly, I'm going to take nothing.
Yeah, no, and I actually think there's a little more significant motivation here for Minnesota. One, this is a revenge game. And we talk about this a lot, where I know some of my guys, we've kind of gone away from the revenge game as being almost too cliche at this point. In certain spots, it is a very strong angle. It certainly is here. Week 12 in Green Bay. Green Bay just completely demolished the Vikings 23-6. The Vikings were useless. But here's the point. Since then, Minnesota has not looked useless at all. They've won 4 straight games. They're covering spreads. And this goes back to what I was saying about certain teams needing and wanting momentum going into the offseason. Minnesota can finish 9-8, over 500 on this season. And they can finish this season on a 5-game winning streak, which would be one of the hottest teams in the entire league. That means something. And it means something so much, they're actually putting McCarthy back in week 18 off an injury where there's nothing to play for. Take notice of that, guys. You never see this where a starter comes back in a game that means absolutely nothing to the playoff race in week 18. And as I said, Green Bay has absolutely nothing to play for, putting Clayton Tune at quarterback. Clayton Tune's only career start on the road was back when he played for the Cardinals. It was week 9, 2023. They played at Cleveland back when Deshaun Watson was still the starter. Very similar line. Cleveland laid 8.5 points, pretty low total, and beat Tune and the Cardinals 27-0. One of our guys says potentially a shutout here. I see a game in that range. 27-0, 35-7. This is all over Minnesota. They want this. It is identifiable in their roster construction today. Justin Jefferson having a lot of great quotes about let's finish big time, not even strong, big time. He's trying to get to 1,000 yards today. I also love his over in this game in yards. The Green Bay secondary is in complete shambles. Green Bay is just trying to get through this game and get to the playoffs. Two officials for me in this game. Take Minnesota at -10 and take the over in Justin Jefferson receiving yards, 66.5. That's 26 minutes of the 1 o'clock slate. We only have 6 at 1 o'clock today. We got 7 at 4:25, and we got a break.
As soon as I get the button. Appreciate everybody watching. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Week 18, we're here. Show some support. Smash that thumbs up button. Let us know that you like what we're doing out here.
4 o'clock slate, 7 games. You will never see more than 7 games at 4 o'clock. And no 405s. What does that mean? It means there's a lot of stuff going on at 4 o'clock, and it means there's a lot of playoff implications. Unfortunately, the first game, we can't say that about this one. Jets-Bills in Orchard Park. Probably the last game ever played at this stadium, Highmark Stadium. The team is moving into a new stadium next year. They're almost guaranteed. I believe they are guaranteed to play on the road in round 1. May somehow get a round 2 playoff game at home if all the top seeds lose or some weird, funky environment. But most likely the last game at Highmark Stadium in the history of this franchise, it's going to mean something, but I don't know how much. Josh Allen's going to play maybe one series, maybe one snap. They have nothing to play for, really. The Jets, you don't really want to back the Jets either. Mike, you're up there. It's cold. It's snowy. They're shoveling the stadium. This is just a bad football game. What do you think about this one?
$20 an hour, free food, free beverages if you want to go out there and help them shovel out that snow dome that was the monster storm that hit them this past week. So good deal. My brother's right down the street. I said, you go out there and help him out? He said, fuck no, I don't even want to shovel my own driveway. So that's the temperature of Buffalo right now. But I'll tell you who was feisty and heated up was none other than Josh Allen. They talked early in this week and said they're going to sit him. Then he came back, and I think he's got 189 or 198 consecutive starts. He said, I'm not sitting this game. I want to keep this thing going. I'm trying to be the Iron Man. So motivated, and you got to expect that this Bills team probably wants to at least kind of go through the standard, like a lot of these teams with these early plays, you go through the formality, you go through the pregame workouts, you keep your routine, you keep your consistency so that you don't come in there with a little bit of rust on side of the edges out there. So that being said, I kind of think about that Bills-Patriots game. What a slow, sluggish start they had. The difference here is I think Buffalo wants to strike early because they are going to yank Josh Allen out for the second half of this game. I think that opens the back door, and it makes the full game incredibly difficult to cap. But the two spots that I wanted to look at here, the first quarter with the under 7.5 points. I don't expect the Jets to go ripping down the field and put points on the board against this Bills defense when they've got their starters out there and ready to fire. So I think the under 7.5 gives us that hook. That's a nice little spot to be. Also, I am going to take that first half with this Buffalo Bills team because, again, the film that they want to put out there, the coverage, they want to go through this routine. They want to execute at a high level early, get the fans pumped up for that final game in Highmark Stadium. I'll lay this. There's a 5.5 out there at -112 at Bet Rivers. Excuse me. That number 6.5. If you can only get 6.5, I'm good with that too. But I'll lay the 2 plays for you guys on this game. Officials: Bills first half -5.5, and the first quarter under 7.5.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a really difficult game. As I mentioned, Buffalo doesn't really have much to play for. They're currently the 7th seed. They might actually rise, I believe, if they win this game and actually be the 6th seed, which would mean they play most likely at Jacksonville next week. And we're going to talk about this when we talk about the Chargers. I think this is kind of where the Chargers and the Bills both want to be. If the Bills lose, they go to New England. They did beat New England in New England tight, 35-31 recently, but that is a tough out. Third matchup in the division, it would be a revenge game for the Patriots. That's not where the Bills want to be in round 1. They would much rather be in Jacksonville. The Chargers, if they lose today, will drop to the 7 and go to New England. You say to yourself, do the Chargers really want to play the Patriots? Not really, but the Chargers definitely don't want to go back to Jacksonville, where they lost 35-6 and played their worst football game of the year. So truly, the Bills want to go to Jacksonville, and they will. And the Chargers want to tank this game and go to New England. So just a point on that. It's hard to back the Jets here. The Jets just are terrible. We pride ourselves on high-level prognostication here. There's not much more to say on the Jets. This is their third quarterback of the year. Justin Fields didn't work. Tyrod Taylor's a journeyman. Now you're sitting on Brady Cook. Cook has looked terrible on the road. And I was talking to somebody before about this who wanted to back the Jets, and I said, as much as you don't want to back the Jets are just that terrible from a quarterback perspective. Yeah. I actually think the Bills could cover this game with Mitchell Trubisky. No third string quarterback for the Bills. I actually would look to the Bills to cover. I think the Bills want to win this game. They want to advance to the 6th seed and play at Jacksonville next week. Would look to the Bills, not wasting any more time on this game and keeping it moving. Second game within this division, I believe, Dolphins at Patriots. Dolphins-Panthers, I believe, is coming next season. Mike, we'll be here in week 7, hanging out, talking ball. That all being said, matchup 2, blowout line. This line is getting steamed up. This is one of the worst spots you will ever find for the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, final game of the year, a lost campaign, a lost generation, no Tua. Now you are throwing Quinn Ewers on the road, his first career start on the road at New England, 425 in January. It will be cold. It will be dark. The fans will be drinking all day, loud, raucous, and in the face of this quarterback. The Dolphins are a terrible cold weather team. They are about to get obliterated in this game. Mike, clearly I like the Patriots in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just question what Miami's even doing out there at this point. Who are they playing for? I mean, I guess they're playing for themselves is what it comes down to. But, the challenge I would say with this game, if you want to kind of look at it from that cold weather perspective, it was Tua Tagovailoa that struggled in the cold weather. And, flip side of things, we don't know much about Quinn Ewers, but you know what? All fairness, he put a pretty good game on tape last week, or at least from a final score production perspective. The Jets let down absolutely. I called out I said that, let's take those points with the Jets last week. They got smashed from top to bottom. So the Pats put together some really good tape. That game you talked about with the Patriots was a revenge spot for Buffalo when Buffalo went in there and beat them up. So outside of that revenge spot, the Patriots have been red hot. They are 3-2 against the spread, but Quinn Ewers comes in and takes down that Tampa Bay team. That was 7 straight losses, I believe, for that Tampa Bay side of things out there. So I don't expect the Dolphins to do much in this game. I don't have any looks or sides on this game. This is just nobody's really got anything going on. Nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody wants to go to Cancun or the playoffs and be 100%. So with that being said, I couldn't find an edge. I couldn't find an angle. I couldn't find a player prop out there. I'll tell you this, Miami 0-7 when they've got a total less than 79 off of a road win. So they're getting busted up. They're losing by 18.5 points a game in those spots, but it's just not, I can't take New England. I don't want to get in the New England business.
Yeah, I am in the New England business. And when you look at this, I just think I think what you actually kind of laid me up for it. The Dolphins won last week. I think that's actually a really nice sell high. Like if you think about the psychology of this group and this quarterback, last week was like their peak game. They won a home game. It was their home finale. They beat an in-state rival in the Bucks. And truthfully, they didn't even play a good game. The Bucks just played terribly. The Bucks lost the game 20-17. The Bucks outgained them 380-298. Tampa Bay had 21 first downs. Miami only had 13 first downs. Tampa Bay had 3 turnovers. Miami 0. And Miami actually had 77 penalty yards in the game. So Miami is not well coached. They're undisciplined. Lots of penalties. Baker threw picks. And Tampa Bay has been playing terrible football. Haven't covered a spread since like week 7. The Patriots are the polar opposite. They're refined. They're well coached. They're extremely professional. This is going to be an extreme struggle point for Ewers. Final point on this. Go back to the previous week. Joe Burrow torched the Dolphins in a similar line range, 45-21. And it's going to be something like that. The Pats just are going to cruise to a victory here today. Take the Patriots and let's cash. Next game on the card, we're going west. We're going to Mile High, 425. Chargers Broncos. This is another game where one team does not want any part of playing football this week, and the other team wants to blow the team out. That's why you're seeing the Broncos laying 2 touchdowns in this game. Chargers, as I mentioned, they want to lose this game so they can actually go to New England next week and not Jacksonville. Herbert's not really going to play. The quarterback situation is bleak. It's Trey Lance or DJ Uiagalelei. Shout out to my guy Guns Picks for teaching me that pronunciation 3 years ago when this kid was bouncing around college football. This is going to be a blowout. I think Bo Nix comes out. He hasn't covered big spreads, but last year, week 18, home in the division against Kansas City, laying an egregious, obnoxious 10 points to the Chiefs when everybody told me, how could you ever lay 10 points with Bo Nix against the Chiefs? 38-0. This is a triple revenge game. Sean Payton has never beaten Harbaugh in this small window where they are coaches in the AFC West. This is going to be a repeat of what you saw last year, something in the range of 35-0. Mike, clearly I'm fired up about this game. What do you think?
How about them Denver Broncos, man? Despite having the softest schedule in the league this year, you got to do what's in front of you. You got to go out there and beat the boys that the schedule tells you that you have to beat up, and they've done just that. Lots of points with the Chargers. I'm going to disagree a little bit with the narrative about who they're going to play. These guys are grown-ass men, and they're not sitting out there trying to fix the schedule, because the adage that I heard from some of these guys, I think it was 2 years ago, I was listening to a postseason game, and they said, look, we're going to have to play them eventually, so let's just take them on right now. We might as well get it over with. And I do believe that some of these guys carry that kind of man, alpha male, lion of the jungle type of, we're going to beat you either way. Our team's better than your team. So that being said, I don't think the Chargers are better than the Broncos. There's not, even the books, right, with a 14 aren't telling you that either. But what I do think is this is the divisional situation with points being on the table out there. The Denver Broncos are 7-0 to the over on a spread of more than 12 points with a team that's got more than 3 days rest. So as long as they're not turning around from that Sunday to Thursday little mini bye week snafu, these games do end up flying over the total. The question is, who's going to put it over the total? I don't know that I want to choose one side versus the other. I like the Broncos team total over 26.5, but I will take the full game over 37.5 in this spot there. Ugly, plug your nose. It doesn't feel like it, but I think we find a way that there's points on the board when this game's all done. Probably, like a 28-14 type of situation sneaks over the total for us and we cash.
Yeah, one final point on this. Denver's coming off a road non-cover. They did play at Kansas City on Christmas night, did not cover the spread. We're laying obviously a huge figure against the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes in the lineup. Did win the game 20-13, but didn't cover. At this year, coming off of a road non-cover, if the game was played on U.S. soil, we're not counting a game played in London. The Broncos are 2-0 ATS at home. So they are a bounce-back team at home off a previous road non-cover. The Chargers just want no part of this game. And Mike, not disagreeing in terms of the professionalism of these guys. Of course, we're not talking about high school kids here. I do think there's something significant about not wanting to go back to Jacksonville, where they played their worst game of the year. I was in the stadium, 35-6. The Chargers barely showed up for that game. They got outgained by almost 400 yards. Like, they might as well have not taken that trip across country. And, I mean, you and I know this. We're grown men. Like, you have a horrible experience someplace. You're not, like, thrilled to go back there if there are other options. Like, like you're up there in upstate New York. You go to some bar, some guy dumps a beer on you, and you get in a fight out back. You're not, like, thrilled to go back when there's other options with beautiful ladies. Point is, the beautiful ladies next week are in New England. They're not in Jacksonville. This is where the Chargers want to lose this game. They're going to lose by 25 points. Take the Broncos and let's cash. Next game on the card, we're going to Philly, Lincoln Financial Field, Washington at Philadelphia. NFC East ball, not really of a whole lot of consequence. We're trying to figure out this game before the show. The steam is all over the Commanders, and I have posted the Commanders officially at +4.5 overnight. Hope you guys tailed that. It's already getting steamed down to 3.5. Mike is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I'm not entirely sure if we're seeing a little bias in this take. He likes the Eagles. Mike, talk to me, and I'll give a nice little rebuttal here.
I'll tell you exactly why it's not a biased take here for the Philadelphia Eagles, because I'm actually saying that I don't think it's a downgrade this week at quarterback. And where have we struck when the books make the mistakes? It's when they're playing quarterback changeroo, musical chairs with quarterbacks. We've done it all the way back to that Commanders-Dolphins game. We've done it with Tua against the quarterback changes. We've done it with the New York Jets. Every time we find a quarterback change, we did it with New Orleans. We've been able to pounce because you have to look at these two guys on equal planes. Now, we know Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champ, probably going to go back and win the Super Bowl again this year. But what do we know? Well, he didn't put up any passing yards in the second half against the Bills last week. And I'll say, well, he didn't really have to. He wasn't in a position they didn't need to. It was all put it on Josh Allen and see if he can find a way to be successful. But now we're making the change to a quarterback that wants to get that film footage out there, and he's capable. He's not necessarily quality, but he's capable. He's been in the quarterback room. He's been studying the program. They may very well have a different element of, we know Jalen Hurts likes to pull the ball down, tuck it, and run it a little bit, or find some of his guys, A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert. Well, the weapons are still predominantly there, and frankly, I said this to you backstage, if you look at the Eagles and where they've been drafting because of their success the last couple of seasons, what does that make them? Well, it makes them thin for top overall picks. They've had to go out there and acquire them through other means necessary. But what it does give them are third, fourth, and fifth round picks that are of a premium pecking order. So their twos might really be 1Bs, or their 2As might not be as comparative to the 2Bs when you look at the lineup matches. The Eagles are 14-0 if they allowed less than 5 yards of play and more than 3.5 yards of rush. That's what they did last week. It makes sense. That was, James Cook, you got to shut this guy down, but they still found a way to be competitive, sneak that win out there. And at 14-0 spread straight up situation, I like this line's come down. I'm good with the Eagles to win this thing. I can't see enough of the Commanders' abilities to, scare me into saying that 3.5 is not a good number to lay. Maybe it will get a 4 and we'll both be able to cash this thing here. But I think the Eagles come out there and beat the shit out of these guys. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where you look at the Commanders and you go, man, look how bad we are here. But McKee, very underrated. He's very efficient when it comes to passing the ball. And why not keep the ball on the ground and keep the Commanders off the field? So I'll lay the 3.5.
We're going to disagree here, and that is a beautiful thing. Conversation always wins. But I think you have to go back to a game that was played 2 weeks ago in Washington, where the Eagles actually had a 2-point conversion late in the game to take a 29-10 lead. And Mike, obviously, we don't play pro football or basketball, these sports where these guys take offense to these small little things. I've always been of the idea that, like, hey, if you're not competing, if they run up the score on you, that's your fault. You shouldn't feel like a victim, but these guys do. And Dan Quinn after the game said, if that's how they want to get down, all good. We'll play them again in 2 weeks. I think that actually stands for something. I think Quinn is pissed at the Eagles, and I just don't think the Eagles have anything to play for. It's the exact same conversation we just had with the Chargers and previously with the Packers. The Eagles are locked into the 3 seed. They have absolutely nothing to gain here other than getting injured, which of course is not a gain, it's a loss. And they're coming off of a high. Back-to-back road games, beat Washington 2 weeks ago, covered the spread by margin, and last week beat the Bills in Buffalo. Last week was the last game of the regular season for the Eagles. That was a huge win, national game, 425 against Josh Allen, 2-point conversion gone awry. Now you come home, you don't have a bye week, you have to play next week. This is their bye week. They're going to let down, and I think they're going to lose this game. Final point on this, backup quarterback situation for Washington, Josh Johnson, actually third string. The kid was a 2008 fifth-round pick. I mean, you talk about journeyman. Like, honestly, I think in terms of NFL history, particularly for a guy who's not a starter, he might be the longest tenured backup in NFL history. I mean, that's like insane to be a backup for like 18 years. It's nuts. I mean, unbelievable. But shout to him. He's cashing checks, that's for sure. And he's having a hell of a life just on the clipboard. He's not getting hit. What a life. But that all being said, last week he played against Dallas. He covered, and he actually played well. 30-23, scored 23 points. I think he's competitive. I think he has something to play for. I think it's just a loose spot for Philly. I think that Washington will be focused here. Final point on this. Listening to Bobby Wagner before the Washington Commanders covered against the Broncos a few weeks ago on national TV, Sunday Night Football, Wagner was talking about going into the offseason with morale and energy, like some of these other teams we've talked about, like Minnesota. You have to remember the Commanders went to the NFC Championship game last year. They're a very good team. They're well coached. Dan Quinn's gone to a Super Bowl. Of course, he blew it egregiously against the Patriots years back. But you have a Super Bowl caliber coach. You have Jaden Daniels. This team wants to go into the offseason with good vibes. And it's very real. I think Washington wins this game. Mike, we disagree, but we agree on one thing. Conversation wins, and let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, Cardinals-Rams in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, 425. Our guy in the chat says something along the lines of the Rams are going to hammer the Cardinals. I think this might be a tale of two halves, actually. This is where McVay is starting his guys in a meaningless game because they're coming in here off of two losses, and he wants to get the energy up and the on-field flow for the offense going into the playoffs. He doesn't want them to get hurt. He doesn't want to waste time in the second half, which leads me to, I think the Rams come out and hammer the Cardinals early, and the back door could be open. Mike, any thoughts?
It's really terrific breakdown there, talking about their being upset of how they started, they're finished, and wanting to start strong out there. But boy, look at these points. Yeah, what are you going to get from this Arizona team? They should go out there and fire, but we've seen them get shut down against the division. Arizona shut down Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, and Michael Wilson. But will it happen again in a back-to-back spot? That's the challenge I have. It's a lot of points out there. The Rams do play to an under in this situation, and that's kind of where I'm looking at this thing. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals team total under, but it's going to be a first half under. So I do like this early spot. These points have gotten too much to me at this point. I think I'm going to kind of leverage your motivation spot, wanting to start strong. That goes both offensive and defensively. So the first half Arizona team total under is going to be the spot that I play in this game. I'll get you the number here in just a second.
Yeah, and truthfully, this is a very unique environment. You rarely ever see teams of the pedigree of the Rams who don't really have anything to play for and don't want to get hurt actually play their starters in week 18 in what appears to be a garbage game. And McVay really is a top-level coach. Of course, he won a Super Bowl before the age of 40. He's very elite, and he's psychologically aware of his group. There is something incredibly real right now about the Rams needing to reset high energy of the group in the first half. I think look to the first half with emphasis, and the books agree. Last time I checked the line, the game line was only -13, and the first half was almost -10. See that split, guys? They have the first half weighted almost with the same strength of the entire 60 minutes. First half's the best spot, and keeping it moving. Next game on the card, Soldier Field 425 on Lake Michigan. Big-time stuff, Chicago. I see you guys. Hell of a city. I've spent some time in Chicago. Great people out there. Speaking of great people, Caleb Williams looking good this year. Ben Johnson reinventing the Bears. The Lions are in shambles. We're talking about a couple teams here who don't really care for the playoffs. This is, I think, the Lions not really caring because it's all over. I think the Bears will hammer down here this afternoon. Mike, any thoughts?
How do you go in a divisional game? I hate to say it again, but Detroit motivated to finish the season off strong. Maybe Caleb Williams changing the franchise around, number one team in the NFC North. Maybe. Do we see a new contingent? Do we see a new leader in the clubhouse? Probably. Lions and Bears. I want to fade the Bears after week 17 on. Now, I know there's not a ton of tape, and we don't have Caleb Williams in this factor very much in this equation, but 12-1 fading them Bears. The goal is not to get hurt. They don't really have anything in terms of destiny to work with at this case here. And I got a 4.5. I mean, at this point here, Bears can win this game by a field goal. I think this is just going to be a little bit too much. I don't know that anybody's necessarily playing for their jobs from a coaching perspective on the Detroit side of the house here, but 4.5 just feels like it's just a tick too many points out there. It's a borderline a little bit disrespectful because of some of those ways that these, the Lions started off the season and the way they hammered down on them Bears. The Bears should want to exact some revenge, but 4.5 is too many points. I'll take the points with Detroit.
Mike, you're laying me up with the take. This is a big time spot with the Bears. I rarely get to say it. I'll say it now. Bears down. In
Chicago Bears.
I love it. But that is one of the biggest points in this game. This is not just a random game for Chicago. This is a revenge game of the highest order. You go back to week 2 or 3, week 2, Chicago at Detroit. Detroit 52-21. And not only is that a blowout and insulting, but Dan Campbell ran up the score on his ex-guy, Ben Johnson. There is going to be ultra revenge in this game. This might be the biggest motivational spot for one team against another on this entire card. The Bears have gotten dominated by the Lions for a couple years. They got absolutely smoked, and the score ran up on them. And you guys know, going back to last year, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, he loves to run up the score on teams when he has the edge. And I think this is a dead zone spot for the Lions. The Lions ultimately had Super Bowl aspirations, lost both of their coordinators, never really got it together. They're sitting here 8-8. They don't have anything to play for. It's a season gone awry. This, for me, psychologically, is just flat. There's just nothing there. This is a coronation for Chicago. It's a revenge game, and it's a line number. -6.5 Detroit at home. First time Chicago favored in a while. Caleb Williams is almost 100% cover rate in his career as a home favorite in the range of 3 to 5 points. I see some margin coming. Take the Bears, disagreement, but we love it on this Sunday. And let's cash. Next game on the card. Speaking of teams that have absolutely nothing to play for, I'm talking about the Lions being flat. The Chiefs said, hold my beer and give me 3 more. This is the flattest spot on the entire card. Chiefs have nothing to play for. I think the Raiders win this game. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you and I align here, and it's only fitting that we kind of finish this Week 18 card off, at least for the 4 p.m. window, on the same page here. Kansas City, a mess, in shambles. Not surprised. You can only go deep so many times before you start to wear the tread off the tires. It is a divisional rematch spot. If you find that situation, second time they're playing a team. We've talked about this for the last 6-7 weeks. Second time through, very tough to play that squad out there. You talked to me backstage about Geno Smith and the situation with the quarterbacks, one versus the other in Kansas City. Late season, divisional rematch. Home teams are 15-2. They're 9-1 their last 10. And it's for those reasons that I think the Raiders find a way. Now, to be honest, I hope they get 33 points for other purposes, other gambles that we're involved with here. But the Raiders at +4.5. I know we're not eye to eye when it comes to that Detroit game, but I think you could take the money line in that spot. I think you could take the money line here with this Raiders team. +4.5 is a great number official. +200 sounds really good in my pocket as well.
I agree, and so does the hat change. We're going to Vegas, gentlemen. Mike, let's get a private jet out there right now. I got some bottles. We got some people at the craps table. And you know what we can do for one of the only times this entire season? Bet the Raiders to cash a ticket. I think this is a Raiders spot without question. And what you're looking at here, as I mentioned, the Chiefs don't even want to show up to this stadium this afternoon. I mean, at least you can make an argument that the Lions want to show up and play in Chicago because it's sort of an interesting matchup in a nice city. The Chiefs do not want to be in this building. This is a pointless football game. They're 6-10. They're out of the race. They capped out midseason. Mahomes is hurt. There's no energy in this locker room. You get a revenge game for the Raiders, having lost 31-0 at Kansas City. It's going to be a huge motivational spot. I actually misspoke to you before the show. Geno Smith is not playing. It's actually going to be Kenny Pickett and Aiden O'Connell. But I think it's even better because what I was reading here, they're basically putting tonight's game is going to be a tryout for training camp, basically. Like who comes into training camp as the one. They might draft a quarterback. Geno Smith might get released, but this is a big game for Kenny Pickett to prove something. It's also a big game if Aiden O'Connell gets the second half. So you're getting one side of this revenge game, huge angle. These guys are playing for their careers today, Pickett and O'Connell. And the quarterback situation for Kansas City is beyond bleak. Chris Oladukin, 28-year-old product out of FCS, I think South Dakota State or North Dakota State, and maybe Shane Buechele. I mean, he sounds like a private investigator in a 90s movie. I mean, this is just an absolute dead zone spot. That's why the line is short. That's why there's steam on the Raiders. Our guy says Taylor Swift is pregnant, Chiefs by 37. I mean, psychology actually would speak to the fact that if Taylor Swift is pregnant, Kelsey would be even more checked out the door, in my opinion. But shout out to Taylor, shout out to Kelsey, the Chiefs. Their day was last year and the last 4 years. It's not today. They'll come back next year rejuvenated. Don't go anywhere near the Chiefs today. Take the Raiders at +4.5, and let's cash. Final game on the card here. We're going to the biggest game on the card for a lot of people, I'll tell you that. Divisional final here, if you want to call it that. Ravens-Steelers, Acrisure Stadium. On the water, Three Rivers at 8:20. I will be in an incredible mood watching this game, Mike. I think you guys will be live on the air for your live breakdown show. I was on there last Sunday night. I might show up for the second half. We had a hell of a time. We have a hell of a time now. If you're doing what we do for a living, we love it. It's just an absolute energy, and we appreciate you guys so much in the chat. Mike, let's talk this game. I think this is a Ravens spot. Revenge game. Ravens lost a tight one at home. They dominated. Steelers have been getting kind of clowned all year, just getting lucky with turnovers. I think the Ravens get there. Any thoughts?
Yeah, listen, the byproduct or the impact of making predictions early in the season and putting your money down on it is, well, your feet become taped to the pedals. And some people think about the hedge. I do not. I think this is the Ravens-Bills AFC championship opportunity out there. It can't be Ravens and Bills if the Ravens get eliminated today. So it becomes that simple for me. I think this team got fired up. They're happy to be back in this position. Lamar Jackson's coming back. Lamar Jackson's now saying, I didn't want to trade. Like, this is that perfect opportunity to kind of heal all the wounds that presented themselves with this Baltimore Ravens team early season, mid-season, late season, by getting a W, getting everybody back on the right track, getting into the postseason, and then making a deep run where everybody says, okay, the sky's no longer falling in Baltimore. All is right in the world. And Mike Tomlin marches off into the sunset. This is Mike Tomlin's last game in Pittsburgh. Write it down, highlight it, circle it, underline it. He'll probably be a broadcaster for Fox next year. The Ravens aren't losing this game. 3.5 with the hook. I certainly hope it gets closer to 3 by game time, but I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm going to feel pretty damn good about watching that ticket cash today.
I agree. When did you get that? Did you get that preseason, or did you buy low when they were like three games under 500?
No, you know what I did, Shark, is I'm one of those tinfoil guys where I saw the Super Bowl colors got leaked, right? And they said, the leaked colors have shown this year on the AFC side of things, it's Baltimore and the Bills. And I kind of thought about it when it came to Baltimore and Buffalo playing in week 1. I scripted that one out and said this will be that revenge opportunity for Buffalo to take it to Baltimore and that AFC to go to the NFL championship. So I'm deep into the rabbit hole as far as how these teams are going to look. But I also gave out some Super Bowl predictions. I'm waiting for them to drop at one of these online books as well, because I'll have the Bills and the Ravens. And then on the NFC side of things, it'll end up being, I guess, probably the Eagles. And I have to think about the other side of it. Maybe the Seahawks.
Yeah,
Homer.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we can definitely, guys, if you while we finish up the show here, drop in the chat here what you guys think the Super Bowl preview will be. Our guy says Super Bowl finalists will be Rams versus Broncos. That's big trust on the Broncos. I'll tell you that. Big trust.
Wow.
But, yeah, I don't know. But I actually do think this is a Ravens spot as well. And also going back to that previous game, week 14, Pittsburgh 27-22 at M&T Bank Stadium. Classic Pittsburgh again this year, just kind of getting away with murder. Like, they got outplayed the whole game and in the stat sheet and somehow won in that game. Baltimore, 420 yards. Pittsburgh only 318. Baltimore, 22 first downs. Pittsburgh only 13 first downs. Lamar threw a pick on his own 32-yard line in the second quarter, which completely flipped the game. This is definitely a Ravens spot. The only reason I'm not on this heavier is I do think 3.5 is a sharp line. And I think actually in terms of the price split in books, it's actually telling you that exact story. Minus 305 right now, getting steamed down in some books under minus 110. I'm seeing minus 105. The money line is minus 200. So something that I look at all the time is the split between what's the money line and the spread. What books are telling you here is there's a high probability Baltimore wins the game, but might not cover, which might seem insane because it's only 3.5 points. This is pro football. It matters. And these divisional games oftentimes are really almost like lock status that a team's going to win. They just might not win by 5, 6, or 7 points. So I see the Ravens winning. I think the spread is tight. That's 60 minutes. It is week 18, the first Sunday of the year, and we got best bets.
Suddenly not so casual Sunday for the best segment of the show coming up.
NFL The Betting Blitz, week 18, Sunday, January 4th, 2026. The Shark and Mikey Money Mike, best bets.
Brother, I have been running fire with ththese things. 3-1, 4-0, 3-1. That's a 10-2 if I did my math correctly and carried the 1. So this is definitely one of the most important segments. We don't take it lightly. We've been producing for you guys week in and week out. So appreciate everybody showing the support. I'm going to give you guys a couple of them here. I like the Las Vegas Raiders plus 4.5. I'm going to take the Saints plus 4. I know we're going to be a little head-to-heady here, but give me that Bills first half minus 5.5. Actually, you know what? Give me that first quarter minus 7.5. And I'll take the Cincinnati first half -5.5.
What was that Buffalo bet again? You said first quarter -7.5. That can't be right.
First quarter under 7.5 for that Bills game.
Under what? Jets or just the total in general?
The total for the first quarter to be under 7.5.
Okay, gotcha. And Cincinnati first half -5.5.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. My four best bets for the show. No disagreement. As I said, I think the Saints could win. I wasn't disagreed on that. I just thought the psychology, kind of the hilarity, is that Kirk Cousins might have some motivation to not allow Baker to get in the playoffs. That's very much just my speculation. I have zero sourcing on that in terms of talking to Kirk personally. My 4 top plays, we're taking the over in that game, New Orleans, Atlanta. So we have 2 sides in that game for the show best bets. Over 43 is available now. We'll take Chicago -3.5. We'll take Washington +4.5. And I'll give you guys Baltimore money line late night. Even though it's juiced, it's the last play of the damn year. If you can't spend money, you can't make money. Right. Let's fucking go. We appreciate you guys so much in the chat for hanging out with us. We'll be back for the playoffs, and we're opening up, I think, an MLB show coming into baseball season. So we're going nowhere. The innings right now. Mike, a pleasure as always. Give them some words, and I'll close it out.
Electric team put together here to give you guys the bets that are going to smack these bookies bottoms, and we're happy to do it as long as you guys show the love and support. Comment post show. Tell us what you're playing. What's your favorite bet? Are you tailing us? Are you following us? Have you made some money with us? Leave the comments. We love to see those here. Help boost the channel, help grow the space, create awareness that the Shark and Mikey Money are here to give you guys those best bets, and appreciate everybody that has spent the time with us. So enjoy yourselves today. Remember, it's week 18. Find those spots, manage your bankroll, and we'll see you guys back here postseason. Congrats to everybody on a big NFL season this year. Thanks to my guy, the Shark. Week 18, suddenly not so casual Sunday, as my guy likes to say, but follow him as well on X. You guys know the deal. This man's putting out NBA plays on fire every single day as well. So appreciate you, Shark.
Absolutely. I will have 4 official plays in the NBA this afternoon as well for those of you guys who are tailing and buying packages. We appreciate you guys on both sides of that. Free and VIP. You guys are all VIPs with us when you're hanging out in the chat and watching the shows. We appreciate you guys so much. There's no show without the fans. I used to go to rap concerts, rock concerts. I hear these people say, we're nothing without the fans. I'd say, that sounds cheap. Now that I do this for a living, I totally understand it. We really appreciate you guys talking to us in the chat, sharing the videos, give comments. Please drop likes and reposts. It helps to bring more people into these conversations. As Mike said, please bet responsibly. You should always have 100 units in a separate account where you're not pulling money for your actual life from your betting. Always stay intelligent with it. We will be back next Saturday or Sunday for Wild Card Weekend. And of course, Mike will be on there tonight for the live game, and I might join. Have a great Sunday. Be intelligent always. And of course, stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined. Let's dominate.